Hey everyone, this is the LEGO Star Wars Resistance ITS Transport, and the set is completely unique. Not in its design, but rather the fact that the thing here that this model is based off is not from any of the movies. It's not from any animated special, it's not from a video game, it's not from a comic, it's not from a novel. This is the one set that LEGO has done to date that is based off something that was developed exclusively for Disney parks. Specifically the Rise of the Resistance experience at Galaxy's Edge. The set comes with 2 minifigures, 2 droids, and then just the ship itself. So let's go ahead and get right into this, shall we? Save the figures and droids for later, as usual. The ship looks a lot like a miniature Corellian Corvette. It is in-universe, made by the same company, with some X-Wing or U-Wing engines on the back. It is called a transport, so one of the major tests for success of this as a LEGO model design will be to see whether it can actually transport anything. LEGO's been kind of bad about that a lot of the time. When they say transport, doesn't always mean that the model will be able to transport anything. So we'll be taking a look at the inside of this. Looking around the outside though, I think it looks pretty good. There are some little areas just right up here where you can see some of the Technic brick-based skeleton for this. But let me tell you, I really enjoyed the build. It was simple. It was, a lot of it felt very traditional to me in a good way. There's plenty of studs on the side construction. There's plenty of use of Technic stuff within there. But I don't know, it just felt fairly simple and things went together quickly. And I felt like I was building up a lot. Like I was making a lot of progress as I went along with time. There was an absolute minimum amount of the super frustrating alignment of 1x1 tiles and 1x1 plates and stuff that is just more and more common these days. I personally don't enjoy that. I felt like the energy that I put into actually building this was all well expended. So now that we've seen it from the outside, I'll show it to you from the top as well, just to give you a general idea there. And what about from the bottom? Hey, it actually doesn't look bad from the bottom. Like there aren't a lot of weird colors showing up. There's some gaps, as you can see back here, but that's really not that big of a deal. It doesn't have proper landing gear, it just has a couple of landing skids at the front and rear. Again, personally, I'm fine with that. I don't find any major issue with that. So let's get inside, shall we? I'll just go ahead and open everything up. So the roof just pops off. These open up, that comes down. Same thing on the other side, that comes down, and this here rotates back to give you access to the front. So can this so-called transport stuff? What do you know? It actually can. So this is just a little box that they have here. And inside, I've put the extra studs for stud shooters and also 2 blasters, 2 regular blasters, semi-realistic style in there. Otherwise, the interior space there, the majority of the interior space is usable. Now, you do have these diagonal shaped side parts, so it's a little bit difficult to put things along there, but at least you can stack things up, pretty high in there. Most of the space is usable in this center section. Up front, you've got room for basically a figure to sit there. I don't see any way to easily make anything more than that fit. Figure fits in there, and there's actually a console. Gosh, it's almost impossible to see it though once you have this assembled. There's a single sticker facing forward. So you kind of have to imagine what the experience would be like for the pilot. Unfortunately, back here, this doesn't work out so well. This is mostly structural beneath there, so this is somewhat unusable space. But that right there, that's pretty good. And you know what? This is not very heavy. And that actually feels good to me. It feels like the weight is correct. It did not waste a ton of pieces on creating the most structurally sound thing with all the Technic building inside. It's plenty strong. Got a little bit of torsional rigidity there, but it's not overdone. And that's why we have this extra space here. I'm fine with there not being extra space here. Would have been nice if there was room for more than one figure up front though. This is intended to be window space, where they'd be able to see out the front. And at the back in the ride, this would be a window as well where you could see back there. This could have been a printed piece, but honestly, it doesn't need to be. Interestingly, they've got the stud shooters back here. These unfortunately cannot turn. These are for defense to the rear, self-defense, point defense of the ship from fighter attack and such. And they can fire, but you can't aim them at all. However, you can aim these, and these are slick. These fit right in there. Look at that. Nicely integrated, very nicely. They didn't use turntables there. They used a Technic pin, or was it an axle pin? I think it's an axle pin, if I recall correctly. So you get that friction, so it's able to stay facing the direction that you choose. Same thing on the other side. That's nice, nicely integrated. No other major action features with this. Nothing falls apart. Just there's very little waste on this. The biggest waste is just this space right here. I wish that we could have used that space to hold something like this, something of that size. Would have been nice to have just a little trunk back there, but otherwise, it's a pretty smart design, and I like it. The figures are Lieutenant Beck on the left and V. Moradi. Is it V. Moradi or Vi Moradi? The first word is V.I. First name is V.I. The figure on the left, the Calamari, he basically acts as the commander of the ship, and he has a bunch of voice lines, and it's a very good animatronic that they use on the ride itself. So that's a very, very important one. And from what I've seen, the one on the right doesn't have much of a role, just basically a small part in the entire ride, the entire experience itself. So, a little bit more obscure there. Not that either of these is a major character in the Star Wars universe or anything, but they're both appropriate to the ride. I think that Beck looks really good. The figure on the right has the hair that's sprayed, and that's just a difficult thing to do, to get a bright color with a lot of saturation to it as well, against black and fading into it. I think it's not a bad job that they did there. I don't know how it could have been better. You can see how it's also masked off a little bit, but her torso looks really good. Overall, I think that these figures are fine, but the one on the left is just better to me between the two in terms of its production and everything. And there is an alternate face there, which is a pretty good one. Here on the left, all hail the new version of Gonk Droid in sand green, making it a very, very elite one. I like this design. It's a little bit basic, but the shape of the legs and feet definitely works for me. It needs to have a little bit of articulation to be absolutely perfect, but if it did have that, I would worry that it would actually walk around on its own and just start taking over the world, as Gonks are wont to do. On the right is a R5 astromech. It is a First Order R5 series droid. They didn't give a specific name to this, but it's one of the ones that ferries people around on the actual ride in the Rise of Resistance. Ferries people around, little people mover, what they call a fleet transport, just holds a bunch of real people and takes them through the different stages of the ride after a certain point, basically after you get off the ITS transport. So I like astromechs, so I am happy to be able to collect this one. I like Gonks a lot. I'm very happy to get this one and looking forward to building more. Finally, here are the leftover spare parts. Nice to get a couple of extra little sand green pieces, otherwise nothing special there. And this is what's left of the sticker sheet. Once you take the stickers off, I feel like the number of stickers used in this set was actually appropriate. So this has over 900 pieces, and the set goes for $100 US. $100 US. And that makes me a little bit sad. Just a little bit sad, because I really wish that something of this size, stature, volume, mass, usefulness, whatever, would be like 80. That's where I'm at with it. Because the set itself is good. And it's decent size. This feels like $80 worth of plastic to me. I mean, it's not super complex, it's not super feature rich or anything like that. I'm really happy with its design. I think that this is one of the better Star Wars sets that has come out in quite some time, at least within a somewhat reasonable range, and an approachable range of price and number of pieces and size and all. But I do wish it was less expensive. At least I don't feel bad, having paid what feels like too much for it. I'm satisfied with what I ended up with here. So this is not one of those cases where I feel super ripped off. I just feel like it's expensive. That's all. But yeah, again, very happy with the design of this. There's really not a whole lot that I can say bad about it. It's funny. I rarely will call a modern set properly wholesome and simple at the same time. This feels simple and wholesome to me as a set. It's just right. It has the right number of pieces for its size. Like I said, that build experience really had an effect on me, a positive effect that kind of set the tone for the whole thing, the whole experience of owning this for me. It just felt right, and it feels right. The only thing that doesn't feel right in the end, ultimately, truly, properly, is the fact that only one person can sit up front. If they had made it so that 2 people could fit up there, I wouldn't be able to ask for anything more. I mean, yeah, it'd be nice to have the ability to angle the blasters at the back up and down a little bit. A little bit more space, like I said, a little bit more space in the back would be nice. But overall, it really does feel right in so many ways. I'm happy with this. I really wish that LEGO would do more things like this. Just spaceship, spaceship. About this size, you can go a little bit smaller, you can go a little bit bigger, and adjust the price accordingly. Wow, just imagine. So imagine this sort of design scaled up to a $150 set. How much more useful and interesting it would be than the modern day Star Destroyers, not the UCS Star Destroyer, but the minifig scaled ones. Or if you scale this up to $200 with that amount of consideration for interior space, compare that to like the Tantive 4 official set that they did not too long ago. That one doesn't have a lot of space inside of it. Part of that is from the fact that it's rather long, and then they have to consider strength. So it did have to use more Technic stuff than this does. I mean, the fact that this has a certain amount of height really allows more structural strength to be just built into it fundamentally. Once you start to have narrow necks and things like that, narrow pinched down sections, that's when you really have to bolster up the interior integrity to avoid bending and sagging and stuff like the original UCS Star Destroyer, which would just sag and sag and sag and bend over time and start to break itself just sitting there. So yeah, I can understand some of the stuff, some of the difficulties that LEGO designers go through, but this one ultimately just worked out well. The figures, I think the figures are fine. Gonk Droid rocks. Astromech's actually pretty good. This guy is accurate. That's a good thing. She's okay. I like her torso print. The face is pretty good too. The hair, I want to like that hair a lot, but it's just, as soon as I look a little bit closer at it and I see the fade, I see the blend, it just looks like somebody did that. Like an individual person just kind of who was not really good at it, customized it. So, but again, it's a very difficult thing to actually do. Anyway, I think that's about all I have to say about this one. Check out the build if you want to see how this went together, what's actually inside these sections that you can't use on this. I've got the real-time build, of course, and the time-lapse speed build. And let me know what you think about the thing. Also, let me know what you think about the price for it. Am I being reasonable and wanting something of this size? Okay. This size to be $80 with just basically 2 minifigures. Okay, call it 3 minifigures and then a little micro side build. $80? Does that feel right to you? Does $100 feel right to you? Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.